Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brian Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Today, we got our man, Adam Munster-Tiger, talking Colorado. A big game on Friday night. You know how I feel about Friday night games, but a game on Friday night against Houston. We're going to discuss that with him today. So appreciate you guys being in here. Before we get started, remember, continue to like, follow, subscribe, dive into those comments section, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. First things first, Adam, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing great. It's crazy. You wait so long for football season to start. You blink your eye and you're already in week 3. And before you know it, we're going to be getting close to, the end of it. So I'm just trying to enjoy it as much as possible.
Absolutely. Totally understand. First things first, look, I think this is kind of the talk, not necessarily, maybe not the talk of the Big 12, but a big talking piece of the Big 12. It appeared, and again, this is the outside looking in, that Colorado last week against Delaware kind of had a 3-person in-game competition for the quarterback job, or was this the plan all along going into the game? Obviously, you're somebody with a little bit more knowledge on the inside of this. Was that necessarily the plan, or was it more, hey, we're not getting anything moving, we need to give all these guys a shot to see what can go on here?
Yeah, so it was definitely the plan. And, let's be frank, Delaware was not a football game that this team was going to lose. And so
Correct.
This was an opportunity to be able to evaluate the 3 guys. Obviously, you're not going to do that at Houston this week or probably at any point the rest of the season unless there's, injury issues at that position. It was so much the plan to have them go 2 series each to begin the game that when it got to Ryan Staub, there were 45 seconds left in the first half. And you're going, that's maybe not the best time to stick to that plan because that's a pretty tough spot to be in. But Ryan Staub went in there and they quickly drove down the field and scored a touchdown. And so there was this boost of momentum that you saw with the team going into halftime as a result of that. And Ryan Staub's one of the most popular guys in that locker room. So it just kind of lifted up everybody's spirits because it was kind of a clunky game at times for Colorado. The final score made it look like they dominated it, but defensively they missed a lot of tackles, even though they only ended up giving up 7 points. So it was a really strange game, but that was the plan. And then Staub got hot, so they stuck with him a little bit, and then they went back to Kaidon Salter. And by that point, it seemed like he was kind of out of rhythm. I don't know how much I would put stock into Kaidon Salter's last couple drives, because early in the game, they scored on his first 2 possessions. So it's not like he was awful in this football game, and that's why they changed things up. It was, let's evaluate these guys so we have a better feel going forward.
Gotcha. Saying that, let's stick with, Julian Lewis. I'm assuming that, he's a young guy. I've talked to you before. You said he's 17 years old. I don't know if that's changed or not now, as far as a birth date or anything, but he's a young guy. I'm assuming the plan isn't to play him unless injury happens moving forward. Is that a fair assessment, or is it still up in the air?
Yeah, I think, it's going to be fluid, and this is going to be based on other things that we see out of Kaidon Salter and Ryan Staub going forward. But I don't think they want to rush this process with Julian Lewis. He is, despite what happened in last Saturday's game, still viewed as the future at the quarterback position in Boulder. And he's done nothing since he got on Boulder to say otherwise. He is still 17 years old. And for a 17-year-old, he's been really impressive. But it is a nice situation where you don't have to feel like you have to rush this process. Clearly, the ideal situation is you get up in some games and then you get an opportunity to put Julian Lewis in there. But it's going to be tough to do that because this is such a competitive conference, obviously. Yeah. And so I don't know how many of those opportunities you're going to get.
Gotcha. Sounds like Colorado probably has a plan. I love that Coach Prime hasn't necessarily, I know there's reports, or I didn't see that he came out and said Ryan Staub was going to be the starter. I saw that there were reports out there saying that he was going to be the starter, but I didn't see it. Now, maybe I just missed it. Has that even been announced yet?
No. So yeah, there was a report that went out by ESPN's Pete Thamel yesterday morning, and then so Deion Sanders had his press conference with us a couple hours later. He was asked about that, and he said that he hasn't made up his mind yet. He hasn't made a decision yet, but did confirm that Staub has gotten more reps this week. So it does appear trending towards Staub starting, but Coach Brien is a coach that relies a lot on prayer and just feel. Mm-hmm. And, until they get to the stadium on Friday night, I mean, it's hard to be definitive about that because even, last week with Staub, they didn't tell him that he was going to play until the day before the game. So they are known to kind of make some late decisions personnel wise. So I would think, though, that Ryan Staub will most likely start on Friday night.
Gotcha. Flipping over to, as far as the run game is concerned, by running backs, and I want to make sure that we're clear, the running game specifically by running backs, Adam, appears to be better this year than it has in the previous couple of seasons. Now, when somebody from the outside looking in, and I'm one of those people, you look at it and then you look at maybe the totality, and then you're like, well, okay, it didn't look great. But then you start looking, especially when you take in sack yardage, you're like, well, hold on a second. Just look at the running backs. The running game appears to be pretty good this year, Adam.
It's definitely a lot better than it was the previous 2 years. Colorado ranked dead last in the FBS ranks in rushing offense both of the last 2 years. So being able to go over 120 yards in the first two games, that's a sizable improvement. Now, is it going to be the best rushing offense in the conference? No, probably not even in the top half, but it's now a threat, and it's making defenses have to play them a little bit more honest than they did the prior 2 years. They're still, the fans are grumbling a lot. There's still too much of the horizontal passing game for their liking because that has not worked out as well for them early on this season as just lining up and running with your backs has. And so I think that's actually something that has been an area they've maybe not utilized as much as they could here going forward.
Right. And that's, like I said, somebody from the outside looking in, I just noticed it. I'm like, and I've seen a couple of the games, obviously the two games they've played. I'm like, the running backs, if they just decide to run downhill, they've been able to do that, which, again, that's something that they absolutely couldn't do with any consistency over the last 2 years. I did notice, now, again, 5 sacks against Delaware. It's not great. I know some of them were late, but that's got to get cleaned up because moving against Houston, and I'll get into Houston here in a second, that you can't have that because it's going to be a problem. Not just Houston, just moving into the Big 12 period.
Yeah. Again, that's another area where you're kind of grading on a curve because it was so awful, the pass protection the prior 2 years. And now it's okay,
Right.
And so, most Colorado fans are actually pretty pleased with the O-line play so far because it's better than what they have been seeing.
Right. The run defense against Delaware. Now, again, it's Delaware, but it improved. But I'm not sure it had to improve because that wasn't good against Georgia Tech. They just couldn't get off the field, couldn't stop the run. But it at least it looked better because, look, and Adam, you've been covering college football for a long time. Sometimes when you're bad against the run, it doesn't matter who you play. You can't stop them. If you're just bad, regardless if you have superior talent, you just can't line up and stop people from running the football. At least it gives them a little bit more confidence that, like, okay, Georgia Tech, bad game. Delaware, not the greatest opponent, but at least we can get out there and do some stuff if we play up to our abilities.
Yeah, I still, the defense generally has been underperforming based on expectations. I mentioned, they only give up 7 points last week to Delaware, but a lot of that was Delaware shooting themselves in the foot when they had opportunities to score the ball and didn't, because there were so many missed tackles in that football game. There are a lot of new pieces. That's the case for a lot of the programs in this conference in this new portal era, but it's not a group that is gang tackling the way that we saw Robert Livingston's defense do last year. And so it's going to have to get better. Now, last year, you looked at Colorado after 2 weeks, and you maybe had even more concerns about that football team than this one. because they were 1-1 and they looked awful against Nebraska, and they had all these question marks as well. The offense and defense were struggling. So it was similar a year ago, but going back to this year, it's very clear they're going to have to get better from a continuity standpoint, offensively, figure out who their quarterback's going to be a little bit more stick with the ground game a little bit, go away from the horizontal passing game as much as they've been doing, because it just hasn't been all that successful. And then defensively, that group has got to come together and stop missing so many tackles if this wants to be a Colorado team that has any chance to reach their goals this year.
Gotcha. So, moving towards this football game, this is one of those games that I pinpointed during the season that is kind of a toss-up. It's going to go either way. I would say to a lot of Colorado fans, and maybe even just people on the outside, again, I'm always an outside looking in, is a game that if Colorado, kind of what you mentioned, want to reach their goals, this is a game that you would pin that Colorado needs to win. Again, it's kind of a toss-up, but this is one that's saying, hey, if you want to win 7 or 8 games, you need to win this football game, because you look at Colorado's schedule, it gets tough. Having said all of that, Houston's not a pushover, Adam. They're not. They've played ultra vanilla the first couple of weeks. They're pretty good. And the thing about this is Houston looks at this game as well as, hey, if we want to win 6, 7, 8 games, we need to beat Colorado. That's why I think this matchup is so good. I don't like that it's on Friday, but I think it's so good that it sets up. This is good for Big 12 early in the season. I like this matchup because both of these teams really need this game if they're trying to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I was not surprised when the line came out with Houston being a 3-point favorite, because, again, like you said, kind of a toss-up game, and usually it's about a field goal advantage to be at home. The line moved quite a bit, and last I saw it was 6.5, and so it's close to a touchdown now, and maybe some of that has to do with the question marks at the quarterback position with Colorado right now, but that surprised me a little bit. It's going to be a tough environment. It's going to be hot and humid. Fortunately for Colorado, a lot of their recruiting is in Texas and guys in the South, so those guys aren't going to be too phased by the humidity with it being an early season game down there. But no, I think it's going to be a battle. It's going to be like so many games at Colorado we're going to preview with them, and it's going to be a couple plays here and there that make the difference, and it's just really going to be real hard to predict a lot of Colorado's upcoming games. But yeah, it is important because Colorado's schedule gets more difficult on the second half of the regular season, so you've got to find a way to get some of these wins early. They've got Wyoming at home next week. That's obviously another game you got to get in the win column, and then it gets really difficult from there.
Right. Just looking and kind of digging in before I get you out of here, the little bit more specifics of the game. Look, Houston, I know Willie Fritz personally. I've known him for a long, long time. He brings a toughness, a physicality, and that's what he has brought even in his short time period at Houston. He's kind of changed the culture there. It was kind of a throw it all over the lot. We're not going to play any defense. We're just going to try to outscore you. That's kind of what Houston was. And now Houston is like, no, we're going to run it. We're going to stop you from scoring points. We're going to be as physical as humanly possible. And again, we've seen Colorado in the past kind of struggle with physicality. I'm assuming that's a lot of emphasis this week, that we need to be a very physical team and match that physicality, because if you don't, you're going to run into some problems playing against Houston.
Yeah, and Houston has that tape from the Georgia Tech game. Obviously, Georgia Tech's got a unique offense, but you kind of saw the blueprint of what can get it done against Colorado in this defense. And so they've got that on film. And I would say Colorado's just a tad more battle-tested because of that Georgia Tech game, though, on the flip side of that. And so that's another thing, that when you start out with a couple teams that you're just way better than, you still haven't really gotten that punch to the mouth yet, right? Nope. So we'll see how they respond to that on Friday night. But yeah, no, I think this is clearly a better Houston team than what we saw last year, and they're gonna be a tough out week to week.
Gotcha. Well, Adam, man, I appreciate you again. I know you're a busy man. It's a busy time. Everything's pushed up a day with everything. It's a road game, plus it's on Friday. So again, we appreciate your time talking to us like you always do, man. We're forever grateful for you. Thank you.
I always enjoy it. Thanks,
all right.
Big B.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you again, everybody. Remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe. Check out the game, Colorado and Houston, Friday night football under the lights. Should be a good one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.